Okay, first a little bit of review. Today's new stuff is going to be completely different, but the review, we're talking about, you have a bunch of points that are given to you. A lot of times they give them to you in a table, but if they give them to you in a graph, it would look like this. And what you're asked to do is find the line of best fit, it's called. And so you'd find a line that runs right through them like this. It's called a linear regression. I'm going to give you a bunch of very simple points. I want you to put them into your calculator. And I want you to see if you can find the linear regression line. Okay? Here's my simple points. X and Y, which you're going to use L1 and L2. And we're going to go with 5, 6, and 7. And we're going to go with 70, 80, and 90 as my 3 Y points. Okay? Put those into your calculator. Do a linear regression. Write down the equation that it results. Okay, let's go. Let's go. Need the calculator. Type those numbers in. It's under Stat, Edit. Stat, Edit, and then I'm gonna clear my list. If you ever want to know how to clear it, you go up to the L2 or the L1, either one, and don't hit delete. You'll wipe the entire, like the list won't exist anymore. We just want to clear the list. So you hit clear, enter. It'll clear the whole list for you. So up here in L1, I'm going to hit clear, not delete. If you delete it, you got to ask me to wipe your whole calculator again to get it back. Okay, so now I'm going to pipe in 5, 6, 7. And then I'm going to arrow over and get 70, 80, 90. There we go. Now I'm going to go Stat. Calculate. A linear regression is number 4. And I don't just hit Enter. I hit L1. L1's above the 1. Comma. L2. Comma. This hardest part. What's the last one I should do? Y1, and that's under vars. And I go to Y vars, and it's a function. I want Y1, enter. There we go. Now, for those of you that have a different operating system, you already have the L1 and L2 in there, which is nice. But you got to go down to the 4th spot where it says store, and that's where you would type in the L1 or Y1. Sorry, that's if you have a special operating system. So if yours doesn't look like mine, go to the 4th spot and type in the Y1. All right. Final answer is that. Yay! I've got an equation. Y equals 10x plus 20. Raise your hand if you had that one right. Okay, good. Now here's the question that would come after that. Once we got y equals 10x plus 20, it's really not that hard if you think of it this way. If I said, what if x equals 5? No, I already know that one. It comes out to 70. What if x equaled 8? Well, you can do this one in your head so easy. I mean, if x equals 8, you stick an 8 in there, and you'd have 80 plus 20 would make what? 100. See, that's easy to do in your head. Now, what if it's the calculator, though, because this is a really nasty equation and this is a nasty number. Do you get how to do that? Do you remember how to do it? Okay, go back to the calculator and tell it that x is 8. How do you tell the calculator that x is 8? You go out to a clean screen here, and you say 8, store it under x. Remember, you can't say x equals 8. You say 8 goes in x. And then you can ask it for what y1 is. Vars, y vars, function, y1. And now I got to ask it and actually hit enter. There we go. It tells me it's 100. Make sense? Okay, and then the other kind of question they could ask you is a little harder. That's when they tell you a y value. They tell you the y value is like 70. Then you got to do this on paper. And you go back and you say y is 70. And you solve that equation. Just solve it for x. So you take away 20. And I'd have 50 equals 10x. So x must equal 5. And see, it was right there. It was on my chart. When y is 70, x is 5. I could have done it that way too. Okay, any questions on that? Okay, one more thing that people ask a lot is, if you look at the table, can you get the answer from the table? The only thing that's scary about the table is once you've entered your your equation and get it to do a lin-reg for you, a linear regression equation, sometimes it actually changes your original data. And it won't be 570 anymore. It'll be like 5 and 71 and 6 and 82. And it's trying to force the data to match its own equation it gave you. So anyway, just beware that the table sometimes doesn't work real nice because it might confuse you. All right, that's a review of yesterday's. That's the stuff that, again, I warned you, you're going to probably see that kind of stuff on a test. You got to know how to find a linear regression equation. These are things we can, you know how it's going to be Marzano? You familiar with Marzano? That's going to be one of the probably R3 type questions too. So it's one of the hard questions, and yet it's really not that bad if you know how to use a calculator. Okay, so be good at that kind. All right, next thing, I have to teach you some new stuff, and the new stuff has several little parts. You'll need some paper to take some notes, so please take out some paper or your iPad to take some notes, and I would call this P5. P5, because it's in the chapter of the book called P. We're still kind of sort of loosely basing this off of an old book that we used to use, so it's more to help the teachers than to help you to have the P5 there. Yes? I do have a portable charger. Let's see if it's available right now. Let's see if I can find it. Yep, here it is. Still got 71% of its life left. So you can just plug that in to your iPad and it should charge it up. Okay. All right, do you remember to solve by graphing? All you have to do is graph your two things and see where they cross. If I graph this and I graph this and I see that they cross right there, then that's my answer. When two lines cross, that is the solution to those two equations. This is something you should have learned a long time ago. I'm just trying to remind you of it. So if I have an equation as simple as x plus 5 equals 2x plus 6, I can find out what the answer to that equation is by graphing both sides of the equation. Graph this side as a y1 and then graph this side as y2. I graph those two and I see where they cross. Can you solve it the old-fashioned way? Sure. We can solve this by subtracting x from both sides. I'll show you that way too. And then I'd have minus x, and go 5 equals x plus 6, and then I subtract 6, and I'd have negative, let's see, 5 minus 6 would be negative 1. I know you can do that way. That's the way you're used to, right? Okay. But in case you were never told this, I really wish they'd start teaching this all the way back in like 7th grade, but you can solve equations really well by just graph this side, graph that side, see where they cross. I would like you to take a second right now, go to your graphing calculator, type in on the y1 line, type in x plus 5. On the other line, type in 2x plus 6 on y2. So I'm going to clear out the equation I just had in there, and I'm going to type in x plus 5, x plus 5, and on the other one, I'm going to type in 2x plus 6, 2x plus 6, and then I hit graph, and I see where the two lines cross. Now, to know where those two lines cross officially, you need to know how to do what's something called intersect. You want to see where they intersect, right? That is on this menu right above graph. I hit second, and right above the graph one is table. Wait, I'm wrong. Table would actually work, but it's kind of the long way to do it. Let's do calculate. Second and right above trace is calculate. Get in the calculate menu. Calculate. Do you see intersect on there? You want to see where those two lines intersect. So you go down to intersect. And I would always encourage you to just only do two lines, because now it's going to ask you a bunch of questions. And if you only have graphed two lines, you can just say enter, 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 and it'll automatically work. If you've graphed 3 lines, you got to pick which 2 lines you want to see the intersection of. But if you just only do 2 lines, you go enter, 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 and it does, oh, there it is, intersections at -1, 4. And the answer then is -1. And I know some of you would be saying, I would much rather have just solved it the normal way. That's cool, but the thing is, when the equation's really complicated, like this, y equals 3, let's make it this way. 3 sine, answer was -1, remember? 3 sine x is equal to 2x plus -8. Okay? You have any clue how to get that answer in your head? Okay? But you could graph both sides and see where they cross. Okay? You graph this one. Y equals 3 sine x. Let's not mess with this right now, but my point is that this will solve really complicated things. You just graph both sides and just see where they cross. Okay? All right. So next one is a typical one we have for today is something like this. X squared plus x minus 1 is equal to 0. X squared plus x minus 1 is equal to 0. If I graph both sides and see where they cross, I'm going to graph this side. Y1 is equal to this, and y2 is equal to that. I can graph both sides and see where they cross. Do you get that this one's a parabola? Do you remember the squared ones are always U-shapes? Okay, so it's a U-shape, and let's say it looks like this. Where's the line y equals 0? Right here. So you see where they cross? They cross here and here. All right, so let's see what this is going to happen. What's going to happen when we actually graph this? So everybody put that into y1, x squared plus x minus 1. Clearing my 2 equations. Probably don't have to do that, but it feels better to me. X squared, what was it again? Plus x minus 1. Plus x minus 1. Enter. And the other line was y equals 0. Now this one's kind of frustrating because you can't see it on your graph because it ends up right on top of the axis line. Do you know what I mean? Like the axis, it's going to be right here on top of the axis, so you won't be able to see that line. But that's okay. Your calculator knows it's there, and as long as you know it's there, when you hit graph, do you see the parabola? And now notice you didn't see the other line. Why? Because it went right on top of the axis. Okay? So now we need to do that intersect thing to see where, well, where are they touching? Where are those 2 lines touching? So I go second, calculate, intersect, number 5. And now it says first curve. Remember how I said this? You could just enter 3 times, but the first curve is I'm on the first line. The second curve is saying, am I on the second line? Yes, it moved it to the second line. The guess thing is going to help us to find both answers because I have to move the little spider thing to be close to where they touch. And do you get that they touch in 2 spots? So I have to do it twice. The first one I'm going to do is move it really close to where they touch here. You see how I got really close to where they touch? Now I'm going to hit enter for the 3rd time, and it tells me the intersection is at 0.618. Again, you wouldn't have been able to do that just in your head. Yet I had to use the calculator at some point to divide, if nothing else. Okay? Do you get what I just did there? Yes, sir. There were 2 spots where it touches. I just got one of the 2 answers now. One of my 2 answers is 0.618. Now I'm going to go do the other one. You just do one and then the other. It doesn't matter which one's first. Okay, so my first answer is x equals 0.618. My next answer, I'm going to go back and do it again. Second, calculate, intersect. First curve, am I on the first curve right now? Yes, I am. I don't have to move it around, but I'll automatically be on the second curve. And now I just guess, meaning move this near where it's supposed to be. Like guess, I'm about right there. About negative 1.7, but it'll tell me exactly. And it's exactly 1.61. So final answer, x equals negative 1.61. Why is there two answers? Because it's a squared. Remember how there's things that are squared have two answers? Correct. What if it was to the third power? There'd be three answers. Okay. All right, so we have just answered the first problem of your homework. So I think this is the part where it'd be best if I just got you your homework and we'll start doing them together. And you need to understand that whole graph, both parts, see where they cross, and you got to be able to find second calculate intersect. Those are like the key things. I'm going to pause for a second here while I hand these out. Here. All right, so here's some advice on weird things that can happen on graphing. If yours says that it can't graph it, you got to look at your y equals screen and make sure there isn't something else being graphed like way down further, like on y7 or y8 or y9. That's one thing that sometimes screws up graphs. Another thing that's probably the most common thing that screws up a graph is if you hit graph and it won't graph it, I would go to your window and I would, zoom. I would choose zoom and always ask for zoom 6. If you're a rookie, zoom 6 is the main one you want. There are others good zooms, but for right now, zoom 6 will bring you to the standard zoom. That fix it? Okay, good. Anybody else whose graph just wouldn't graph? It's down the top row, in the middle, kind of. Find the word zoom. Yes?
It would graph, but it's not going to be the same number.
Okay, then let's double check exactly what you have on your y1. Do you have x squared instead of, okay, do you have plus x? And is your minus a minus or is it a negative sign? Make sure. It's not a negative, because there's a difference. The negative sign's here, and the minus sign is here, and they do different things, believe it or not. Okay, and then the other one should just be y2 is just 0. Okay, if that's the case, then they should give you the same answer as me, which should be when you go to graph. Are you saying it's graphs and it looks kind of like this?
Well, it looks the same, but that fucking did that thing right.
Second calculate. Okay, let's try that together. Go second. Hit calc. Intersect is the fifth one. And now I got to hit enter. Enter. Is it starting to work now?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's all that matters. The third enter is like move it around to be right where they touch. That's close enough. Hit enter. And then my answer was 0.618. Okay. That was problem 5, by the way. The one we just did together in class, that was problem 5. Problem number 1, you just use your eyeballs and say, whoa, looks like it's hitting at about 1 and about 3. For number 1, I would not use the calculator. Yes, so what you're looking for on number 1, the picture looks something like this. For those following along at home, it looks kind of like this. The X-Intercepts are, it says estimate any X and Y intercepts that are shown in the graph. This is at 1, that's an X-intercept, that's an X-intercept, and those are called the solutions. It does say estimate the y-intercepts, but I'm okay if you don't do that, because none of our answers for the whole rest of the day are going to be y-intercepts. It's only the x-intercepts that really matter. Yes, sir? Okay, I'll come and help the individual calculator in just 1 second. Let me do number 6. Number 6 was 4x squared plus 20x plus 23. Equals 0. And again, my way of teaching you this, I think, is good for now, and it's just graph both sides and see where they cross. y1 should be this. y2 should be that. It's called doing the intersection method. There is a way of graphing these. It's called finding the zeros. It would work too, but I like the intersect way. All right. So, generally speaking, I want to see where these two lines cross. So now I'm going to put this in the calculator. 4x squared plus 20x plus 23. 4x squared plus 20x plus 23. And the other one is 0. Cool, I've already got that one in there. So then I hit graph. And I see, do I see my graph? Yes. Do I see it hitting the x-axis twice? Yep. And I want to see where those officially cross go. I go second, calculate the intersection spots. And remember, first curve is, the spider will automatically be in the right place. You don't have to worry about it. Second, it'll automatically be in the right place. And then you got to do the guess one where you move, because see, there's two answers. There's one answer where it's right here, and there's another answer where it's over here. Doesn't matter which one you do first. Now I'm guessing about there, looks like about -2, and the official answer is -1.79. So that's one of your answers for problem 6. All right, it asks you in the directions for a sketch of it. It asks for the window. I'm okay with not giving me the window. It's okay with me if you just give me a little sketch of what the picture kind of looks like. And then sketch it, and then tell me the answer. I know what the equations you're going to type in. The equations are whatever's on the left and the right side. Oh, you don't have to write the window. That's what I'm saying. And the equations are going to be whatever's on the left and right side of the equal sign. So to me, the main thing is make a little sketch so it shows me that that's kind of like showing your work. Okay, I'm going to do one more on this so I can calculate the other one. Intersect. And I'm going to go, oh wait, first curve is good, second curve is good. It's where I say guess that I move it to be really close to where they touch, and it looks like about -3. Official answer is -3.20. Actually 3.21. Okay, that was the answers for number 6. We just saw where they crossed. Remember, on one like number 7, there might be 3 places where they cross, because it's x to the 3rd. So on problem 7, I would expect there to probably be 3 answers. Yes, ma'am. For number 4, yes. That looks like this. It's like this. And like this. Is it ever touching the x-axis? Then are there any solutions? No, no, no. If you say x equals 0, you're saying it touches at 0. So if you don't ever see it touching, what's the right thing to say? No solution. That's a different thing than 0. All right. Now we got a bunch of time where you can work. I do have some homework to grade here still. Like, we've got to get some grading done, but for right now, I'm just going to give you some work time. I can help individuals with calculator questions and such. So that's the new stuff. It is solving by graphing. I'm going to just make sure before I hang up on the video here. There is one more kind that might confuse you. Hit number 14 before I stop the vid. Number 14. It's still graph both sides and see where they cross. Okay. But how do you graph absolute value of 3 minus 5x equals 4? This side's easy. Your y1 is not easy. Your y2 is very easy. y2 equals 4. Duh, easy. Okay, but how do I graph this? That's an absolute value, and not many kids know where that is on your calculator. I'm about to show you the button on the calculator where all weird functions are. If you ever need to find one, here's the button. Stay with me on this. I'm quitting out of my graph. I'm clearing it off so I have a nice blank screen. Okay, you do the same. Get out to a blank screen. And you got to hit the mother of all buttons. It's the second. It's right above the 0. See what's there? Catalog. Why is it good? Because it's got a list. It's right above 0. The catalog button has a list of every single function that is on your calculator. If you wanted to arrow down, you could find every single thing it can do. And believe me, there's an insane number of things. I probably don't even know how to do half of them. Okay, so it has so many things on there. So you may want to be able to notice that it's got a little A in the upper right-hand corner, which means alpha, which means that it's right now ready to sort alphabetically for you. So what if the thing you really wanted, like I want absolute value, so I'm going to use the top one. Yay, I'm going to hit enter and I'll be done. But let's say I didn't want that. Let's say I wanted something else, like something that started with an H. It's already in alpha mode, means it's ready to sort alphabetically, so I just got to find the alpha H. It's in mine, it's green, and it's right above this caret here. And if I hit that, it's going to automatically go to anything it can do that starts with H. You see what I mean? It was already in alpha mode, so you just had to find the H. All right, so now back to absolute value. That's really under A. I'm going to hit the A, alpha A. See? I've moved it down back to absolute value. So now if I hit that, it'll automatically put an absolute value up on my screen. For some of you, it won't look exactly like this, but it's starting an absolute value for you. And then if you wanted 3 minus x, you'd go 3 minus x, like that. All right, so now let's graph that. So everybody go to the y equals. Clear off your y equals, and we'll do problem 14 together here. I'm going to clear both of them. Okay, now I'm ready. So, you ready? Absolute value of 3 minus 5x. Absolute value is under catalog. So that's, I go there right now. Second, catalog. And I say absolute value. It's the top one. Boom. There's an absolute value in there. Some of you, it says ABS. That's the same thing as if it says the lines like this. 3 minus 5x. 3 minus 5x. Enter. I have graphed the absolute value of 3 minus 5x. Do you remember that it's a V shape? The absolute values are V shapes. You remember that from last year? And even if you didn't, the calculator knows it's a V shape. Okay. Then the other line we're supposed to be graphing is the other side of the equation, and it says equals 4. So we go down here and we say equals 4. And now when I hit graph, I got my V shape, I got my other line. Do you see that the two lines are intersecting? You go second, calculate, intersect. Second, calculate, intersect. Fifth one. And now, first curve, yup. I'm on the second curve, yup. And now, of the two lines, I'm going to see where this one crosses, so I'm just going to move it closer to where they cross, and it guesses, and it's about negative 0.21, and it's actually negative 0.2. Remember, it's always the x of it that we want. We already knew the y was 4. That was given. So x equals negative 0.2 is one of my answers. And then I'll go do the other one. And that is second, calculate the intersect. And I hit enter and enter for the first two questions. Move on the guess one to right about where they cross. Enter. And it's at 1.4. So my other answer is x equals 1.4. And what the point is that if I put these numbers into the equation, it would work. If I put 1.4 right there, the answer would work. It would come out to equal 4. And if I put negative 0.2 right here, it would also come out to equal 4. Those are my two answers. They're the solutions. They're also known as the roots. They're also known as the zeros. All right. Now, last thought. This assignment is long-ish. So I'm going to cut out a couple that you don't have to do. You may skip problems 11, 12, and 13. Also number 10. It's a little excessive. So 10, 11, 12, 13. And the rest of them are all like important for tests and stuff, so I got to make you do the rest of them. Okay, so 10, 11, 12, and 13 are all skips. Okay, that's all I got for the video for today. Come on.